Ladies and gentlemen, this 2003 Ford Ranger isn't being all that it can be. It has a 3-liter V6 hooked to an automatic transmission, and initially it was just really hard to move the shifter. Eventually the shifter just broke off in there and it needed to be replaced. I replaced the shifter and the cable, but the cable wasn't that bad. It's still very difficult to move. First thing you need to know is we're in northern Michigan, which would be the sphincter of the Rust Belt if not for New York State. We'll let them go ahead and keep that title. But because we're in the Rust Belt, there are a lot of corrosion-related issues. I've actually fixed this issue a few times on these trucks. It's not super common, but it does happen. What's going on is there's a little shaft that sticks out of the side of the transmission for the gear selector. Over that shaft fits a neutral safety switch. It looks like a range sensor. What will happen here is corrosion will build up between that shaft and the bushing for that range sensor. It'll swell up and it'll split that bushing. When that happens, that bushing's really hard to turn inside of that neutral safety switch, and it makes the shifter really hard to move. Eventually you break the shifter. So let's climb under there and see everything that I just described. Alright, so there's the guy. First thing we're going to do is disconnect this shift cable right here. Get that out of the way, and then there's a plug-in back here with a single tab on it. You just push on and, oh, it's got dirt on it, but you got to unplug this thing. Like that. Now that all that stuff's free, what we're going to do is take out this 8mm bolt and this 8mm bolt. Once those bolts are out, you can just grab a hold of this neutral safety switch and just give it a turn. It should not move the whole shifter the way this one does. That should spin freely on that shaft, so we got to get this out of there. This nut, I think, is a 7/8. I'm going to pull that off, and then it's going to take some prying to get this lever off here. With that off, you can see the crack in the bushing right there in that white section. That's our problem. I need to pry this thing off from there. That's probably going to take some force and some heat. It doesn't matter if it breaks because I'm replacing it anyway. There we are. That's off there. Now look at all this rust on this shaft. It's really thick. That's actually what broke the bushing. It just swelled up and split the bushing. We'll have to clean all this off before we replace that neutral safety switch. There we are, all cleaned up, and I put some grease on there to try to keep this from happening again. Now I'm going to fit this shift lever over the shaft real quick, and I'm going to put it in neutral. Now park is all the way to the right, neutral is 1-2 clicks back right there. That's where we have to be to install the neutral safety switch. The neutral safety switch has this symbol here that says neutral, a line on the housing and a line on the bushing. These need to be lined up before you tighten it down. Let's install. There we go. It's pushed all the way up against the casting of the transmission. Now I just need to line up this neutral safety switch. Right there. It can be tightened down now. Now from right here, we just plug it in and put the thing back together. And that right there is the finished product. Now let's go inside and check the shifter. That moves pretty nice, but there's still one issue. My numbers aren't lined up. Let me show you how to deal with that. Find neutral, which is 1-2 clicks down. That's neutral, and I blew the horn. Now we adjust it from there. Down here up underneath the dash, there's this white box thing right there. At the very end of it is this little gear. I'll just lay right down in here for you guys. I hope you appreciate it, but it's right there. This little gear right there, that's your adjustment. You're going to spin that while you watch your needle. All right, got my finger on it. Let's just spin her to where she's in neutral. That is almost there. Right there. Perfect. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. She's fixed. Thanks for watching. I know you have millions of options when it comes to TikTok nonsense. Thank you for choosing mine.